Tit for tat is used to refer to a situation in which an action or retaliation is equivalent to the action that is done in response to something. In other words, put simply, I do something to you, you do a similar thing in retaliation to me. Two people are fighting, arguing, they are having some sort of battle or war. So I do that, you do that, then I do that, then you do that. The things that we do to each other will be similar. They have similar consequences. Tit for tat is what we often refer to it as. To retaliate means to hit back or return the attack with a similar response. So I do something to you, you return, you retaliate by doing something back at me. To retaliate means to hit back or return the attack with a similar response. The retaliation. So when we talk about the retaliation, we are describing the situation where a response is taking place. Some reaction is taking place. And quite often in any situation where two groups disagree, you might find there is also what we call tit for tat. I will explain a little bit more about that. Here we go. If you ever want to find meaning in something, I always think looking in some sort of holy book is a good place to start. The old biblical term, an eye for an eye, conveys a similar meaning. As a response in the form of retaliation or sometimes revenge even. So there are many ways of expressing tit for tat. We might say that you are literally doing the same thing to that person that they did to you. In the old sense, we often refer to it as an eye for an eye. Some good old-fashioned fire and brimstone. The current retaliation of tariff charges imposed on other countries can be described as tit for tat. Responding, I know I've spelt that wrong. Can you see there? Can you see? I'm sorry about that. I was typing that very quickly. Responding with a like for like action. So what is happening in the world at the moment? We have a situation where tariffs are being put in place. So if you want to sell something to my country, before it enters my country, I have to put a charge on top of that item. So of course it becomes more expensive and less affordable for those who want to buy something. So that is what is happening at the moment. You might describe the tariff situation as tit for tat. I impose 20% on you. Then you will impose 30% on me. And then I will impose 50% on you. And then you impose 70%. And then it goes on and on and on until someone comes to an agreement. That quite often is the hardest part. So you might describe the tariff war that is taking place at the moment as tit for tat. One person does something to another and then they retaliate with a similar response. And that is what is happening at the moment. Talking of war, in a war, there might be many retaliations taking place at the same time. So when we look at any situation where there is conflict, any situation where you have conflict, two things against each other, a disagreement, an argument, maybe a battle of wits. The situation can refer to the loss of life or economic sanctions, punishment of some sort. So I suppose you might describe what is happening at the moment as a type of war. However, this particular war refers to the price of goods that are being imported, and then a large charge is put on those items. And then, of course, the consumer, the person buying those goods, will have to also pay more money. So it is a big thing. It is a big thing that's going on in the world. And I'm just waiting for it to start to affect me. Mr. Steve is very worried, by the way. I've never seen Steve bite his nails as much. In fact, I think he might be starting to eat his fingers. So don't be too surprised next Sunday when Mr. Steve comes on. He might not actually have any fingers because he's been biting his nails so much. He's almost chewing his fingers to the bone. So I hope that explains that quite clearly. And I think tit for tat is a situation that can happen at any point in time. It is common for a tit for tat situation to get out of hand. And I think what is happening at the moment in the world is something that has got out of hand. It is now out of control. It has escalated. It has become serious. To end this dispute, or any argument, or any type of disagreement, one or both of the parties involved must reach an understanding. You have to reach an agreement. So quite often, when two groups of people disagree, there has to be a point where some sort of conversation takes place. We often refer to this as negotiation. You negotiate. You try to come to an agreement with each other. So quite often, to end an argument, you have to have some sort of negotiation. You have to reach an understanding, which of course is very easy to say, not very easy to do. A common type of tit-for-tat situation arises between neighbours. This is a very good example of tit-for-tat. It is when two people or two groups begin to fight. They have some sort of battle or war. Now, I'm not talking about violence, but I am talking about disagreements. Maybe one of your neighbours is always playing their music loud, so you do something to retaliate. And that situation slowly becomes tit for tat. One person does something, you do something in return. Maybe you play your music loud as well. Perhaps you have a neighbour with a barking dog. Don't get me started. Please don't get me started on that subject. You might decide to retaliate somehow. So maybe your neighbour's dog barks very early in the morning. So maybe during the summer you will get up very early and you will cut your grass early in the morning to disturb them. Not that I'm saying you should do that. Sometimes talking is the best way to solve a situation. The best way to solve any situation is to talk. Any relationship, any situation where you have people involved, you have to have some sort of communication. You have to talk. Once that talking stops, normally it's very hard to come back together again.